Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder aboard the Admiral Hipper, and that is the lead ship of its class of German heavy cruisers, and it is one of many new ships in the game in patch 1.91 throughout all the nations. And, what should I say? You have to begin with something in the patch, and I didn't want to go into jets right now. I didn't want to go into the madness that is tanks. I could enjoy for sure planes in the new Chinese tech tree, but let's be honest here, when there are new ships, when there are awesome ships, I want to play them. And make no mistake, this is not a review. The review is planned. I tried to gather some footage and some information, but there are so many things new in this patch in 1.91 that I have to try out all the ships before I have to make a review, or before I really can make a review that has some sort of standard to it. And I'm also waiting for, obviously, Drakinifel's bits, which hopefully will give me 5-minute guides to the historical careers of those ships. But that is not there right now, and I want to get there something nice out for you. And so, the first impressions of the Admiral Hipper. Well, what do I think of it? Well, I think it's fun. I think it's nice. It's not overpowered. It is certainly not bad. And don't expect too much from the ship, but don't expect that it is pointless or weak, because it can do things. Yeah. And mine is obviously fully upgraded, but looking at the stats, even the stock grind, aside from parts and FPE, or the ship name equivalent, of course, is doable, because also the stock HE is quite nice. But the AP, yeah, the AP is nasty. It's really nasty. It depends where exactly you aim, where exactly you hit, a little bit with a nice roll of the RNG dices. But I think even the stock HE is good. It's not. It's not any sort of Russian magic 7-inch HE that packs 3 times the amount of TNT, something like this. No. This is your normal kind of average HE shell. And what is really nice is that Gaijin also has reworked the dispersion. They have also reworked a little bit the damage mechanics. Ships overall feel more fragile, especially their ammo racks. And again, I cannot tell you anything in detail with proof or anything. I haven't played enough, although I have played for several hours right now. And now I feel like I would want to make a very first impressions on the first ship that I play in Naval Forces in patch 1.91. Again, this is a very early, very first impressions of one of the ships. And obviously I have to go through all the others, like the Mogami that has 10 8-inch guns and not quote-unquote only 8 inches like the Admiral Hipper. I have to compare the numbers. I can already see that the Admiral Hipper is much more popular than anything else. And so you get fed your own medicine at times. But again, I think that this is all too natural. Naval Forces are still in beta. I had high hopes for this patch when it comes to ships, and so far I was not really disappointed, but all my high expectations were not fulfilled. For example, I didn't see a new map, I guess, as far as I know. Well, one maybe. And I didn't see the enduring confrontation. I didn't see any sort of new game mode. But all things considered, some other things like Mediterranean port, where the heavy cruisers spawn 5 kilometers from each other, is still a thing. I'm not a fan of that one, but that's just how it is. At least we have the map filter. I think that was very long overdue. But then you have to constantly change it when it comes to the various different battle ratings, game modes, etc. So I have to still figure it out. But I'm on it. When it comes to the ship, something that is extremely nice, that previously I think only people in the Brooklyn really enjoyed, is that the turrets have proper armor. that is pretty difficult to knock them out. And so if you are there in your Kirovs or in other ships where even the HE splash can knock out the turret, you know that low DPM gets frustratingly bad, even though your Alpha Strike might be adequate. And so this is something that I think the Hipper shines. And the Admiral Hipper is not really bad when it comes to the DPM either, in contrast, because you have 8 guns in 4 twin turrets, and you have a reload for an ace crew of 12 seconds. So that's not really bad. I think that's a few seconds faster than the Japanese equivalents. And again, I think it is absolutely mind-boggling that this ship has the very same battle rating of 5.7 than the Nürnberg, which is a light cruiser, in the same tech tree. And even for Japan, I don't really think that the Furutaka can really hold a dime to the Admiral Hipper. Again, the fragility of the turrets, the reload, and we have to see how the Mogami stands up to it. I got a test drive from Gaijin again. Thank you for that. That helps quite a lot. And it is fun. There is something about naval forces when it comes to those big ships that I really, really appreciate, you know. There is slinging those big shells across the map and getting rewarded for your aim is just simply satisfying, you know. Or having one salvo out there for ranging purposes and then trying to get the shells in, trying to get the hits in. And here you can see me correcting on another Admiral Hipper on the enemy team. Aim for the rear magazine just under the turrets. Corrected the horizontal and vertical aim. Come on, where are the shit? There we go, there we go. So that is another thing. It feels like ammo racks are a bit more fragile right now. Now, the patch is just a day old, okay? And I've seen more drastic changes sooner than we all could expect. Also, the PGO2 was kind of nerfed or adjusted, let's put it that way, according to the patch notes. There is so much to try out. But here I am sitting in my heavy cruiser, I enjoy it, and I love it. I think it's not the very same experience for everyone when it comes to aiming, shooting, positioning, adjusting the angles, etc. To get the maximum out of the ship maybe will take a while, but here we are in the last gameplay, and I just wanted to show you how this works with this ship. You spawn, in this case, rather far away, and then you just farm the destroyers at roughly 8 kilometers. Forgive my initial aim, but the point will come at the end of the video. I think also when it comes to a subjective opinion, there is now a bit more balance, because now every nation, funnily enough with the exception of the Americans and the British, have big gun cruisers. So we have the Russians with the Kirov, we have then obviously the 2 Japanese cruisers that have 8 inches, with the new one it being actually 3, Mogami being arguably with the broadside the most powerful currently, and then now the Hipper for the Germans as well. But I'm not quite sure if this is now for the benefit of the Americans. Previously, the 2 patches prior to this were kind of dominated by the Kirov and the Brooklyn. Now the Brooklyn has much stiffer opposition, where the turrets are HE safe, where the AP can actually punch through the barbette armor and ignite the ammunition, as I showed in the beginning. So there is more compression coming in. I'm not a fan of this, okay? So as a final verdict, I think for the first day, for a very first raw impression, I like the ship. It has its strength, it has its weaknesses, it can resist incoming fire throughout the size of the ship just a touch better than I would expect, but it's not an absolute monster tank. Now, the funny thing comes here. I fire first on the enemy Admiral Hipper, and I want to turn out. I want to turn away, and I want to angle my hull armor, and then he fires back. My shells land, get the kill, but his shells are still in the air, and we trade each other. So that was funny. And this is my very first brief impressions of the Admiral Hipper. A beautiful, stunning looking ship, iconic, and it does its job in naval forces. The 8-inch guns just deliver the pain. You have decent armor, you have decent speed, you have all the tools that you really need. The AA is a bit on the weaker side because no proximity fused shells, and the flak shells are a bit buggy, but nevertheless, when it comes to gunfire power, it is for me personally fun. How this will stack up versus the competition, and if it actually will create the meta, we'll have to see when things sort themselves a bit more out in the upcoming days, and I actually have a chance to play the other ships as well. So up until then, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video. Why not give it a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other on the battlefields, in the skies, and on the waves of War Thunder.